anthologies. We fucking love them. Creep Show, Tales from the Crypt, etc. I say etc. because I blanked out.
Yep.
But one of the ones that are considered a classic for a lot of people is Twilight Zone, the movie, of course, which were just remakes of original Twilight Zone episodes for the most part, or at least ideas that can be derived from those. And we recently caught it again, did a little rewatch there. Just really, it was because I kind of felt like watching Nightmare 20,000 Feet, so we watched the original episode.
And it just so happened Hulu had the movie, and so we watched it.
Yeah, had to go indulge. We started with, we're just going to watch one, but we ended up watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
With an exception. Right off the bat, we're going to tell you this. We skipped the Steven Spielberg segment because I
hear its ass.
I'm not the biggest fan of Spielberg's segment. It's not that it's a bad segment.
It doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit with the mood and the spirit of the other segments, so it just kind of feels very out of place. So yeah, we skipped it. If you've seen it once, that's about as many times as you really want to see it.
We literally were skipping it, and according to the timeline, it takes like a freaking third of the movie.
Yeah, it's a pretty big, long segment. It could have been way shorter, and for that reason, been better.
Yeah.
But
so we skipped that.
We just skipped it. Fuck it. So let's talk about John Landis's segment, which I forgot the name of, but basically has Vic Morrow as this fucking bigoted piece of shit, loudmouth guy that feels that everybody from my God, I was gonna use his language. I was gonna use the fucking expletive, but anyway, black people, Asians,
Jewish chaps,
Jewish people have all wronged him in some form, and he's basically pointing fingers for his own faults. Okay, and he goes to the tip. I mean, Twilight Zone they're basically morality tales, of a different sort, and he goes he steps out of the bar. He's railing off in. And he steps straight into Nazi Germany, and then later that takes him into Vietnam, and then etc. He runs the gamut of the people that he was feeling so much anger against.
Yeah,
and it's actually a pretty good segment.
I thought it was pretty solid because you had told me that since it's not finished, it feels unfinished, and then it's not great. So we were going to skip it, but we had already seen the intro, and I was in the mood because Credence. So I just played.
And that was really wise in the end because it actually works very well considering how much they were missing from the actual finished product. And the difference is really tonal. It's much more of a somber,
it's like a
moral ending.
A Twilight, like a Tales from the Crypt-ish almost.
Yeah, really. I mean, there's no real ultimate resolution to.
Yeah, in case you don't know, there was an accident in the
filming. There was an incident. Vic Morrow, the guy that starred in this, ended up dying
along with two Vietnamese.
I think it was just one kid, but one or two.
Kids.
Either way,
I think it was two.
One or two kids too many if they die.
They got chopped to pieces by a helicopter.
Yes.
So you're going into this one, you're like, eek.
Yeah, the stunt went wrong, and John Landis ended up getting in a lot of legal trouble because not only did this happen on his set, already a disaster, but these kids weren't supposed to be working
they weren't
these
even
hours.
Supposed to be there, and it was just like it was a mess.
Yeah, and of course back then stunts were done realistically, with real things, and them blades chopped these bad boys up. The video's available. Don't see it.
Don't see it.
Or will you?
I saw it.
But
don't recommend it.
Yeah, don't recommend it. But man, it's tragic that happened. But ultimately,
I mean, for what they had, it does. You told me I haven't seen the short it's based on, or the episode. It's based on an episode, right? They all are.
Not all of them, no.
But this one is.
Sort of.
Okay.
Thematically.
So I haven't seen that. So you told me that was supposed to have multiple tiers.
He was supposed to go through stages of
and teaching him new things.
Yeah, he was supposed to learn his lesson by experiencing more and more of these people's experiences.
Instead, it just kind of ends in the second go round. But it kind of worked. Yeah,
him being carted out with Jews on a train. Again, a very somber ending, but it worked. Yeah. It works considering with that. So kind of a save there for him.
It was probably the shortest one.
Yeah, it was.
Because, death. But it worked, I thought, and then we skipped the second one.
Yeah, fuck the Steven Spielberg segment.
Because we don't like old folks.
But,
God damn.
No, but, yeah, then we have Joe Dante's segment, which is like psychedelic fucking Looney Tunes or some shit.
Yeah, this one was weird.
This is actually my favorite segment, and it took me a while for it to be my favorite because everybody just prefers Nightmare on 20,000 Feet.
Yeah.
But once I latched onto it being my favorite, in fact, it was when I last watched it with
Guardian.
The Guardian. I was like,
who's dead, by the way.
Yeah, the Guardian will not return. But yeah, man, it just became my favorite because it gave you he is heavily influenced by Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And you know he's done Gremlins and he did the Looney Tunes Back in Action movie, which I actually think is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it feels like a living cartoon, and adequately so.
It's weird.
The story,
it's really weird.
Yeah, the story centers around a woman who,
I believe in the episode he's obsessed with dinosaurs, if I remember correctly, something like that. It's based on the show on an episode. I know that.
Yeah.
But in this one, there's a kid who was obsessed with cartoons, which leads to weirdness.
Yeah, the woman falls basically into the mind trap of a child that, I mean, really ultimately the moral is what happens to a child when there's no discipline for him there. And this child is gifted with powers, and because there is no discipline in his life, because there is no structure in his life, he subjugates people to basically become idealized versions of what he wants.
Yeah, so he just like lures people in.
Yeah, and the coolest thing about this is that he's obsessed with cartoons. So the house that he basically mentally traps these people in
slowly morphs into a cartoon.
It becomes a living fucking crazy ass cartoon. And it's very bizarre, you know, like the family that he has is not really his family, it's just people he's trapped to kind of be his family or play along. They keep up this weird, there's like a weird humor to it, you know, like 1950s cookie cutter family, but they
like hate him.
Yeah, they hate him, and everything's laced with fear around him. And you know, when the woman is brought into the house, they behave real proper around him and her. But once she's gone upstairs, they're looking for anything that'll give them a form of escapism from the house, you know.
You see that he's like messed up his real sister in the second story and shit. So there's like some weirdness right off the bat.
Yeah, it's a really bizarre trip.
Woo, it gets weird as shit.
Yeah, the imagery alone is really interesting, really out of there, bizarre, crazy. And but the ultimate payoff is actually kind of sweet, you know. And again, it falls into that moral line of reasoning where a child just needs a strong hand and a good role model, and that's what he gets at the end of the little story, and it works out well. And
to me, it felt more like creepy, because I thought it felt more like she was gonna use his powers. In a sense, it does for her gain. I don't think that was ultimately the intent, but yeah, it definitely felt really creepy.
It felt like like they had made an uneasy accord between each other. Yeah. And they were both kind of like trepidatious about it. But so yeah, there's a definite...
It's a good ending because you could go either way. Yeah. But for me, I was like, oh, it's kind of a freaking creepy feeling.
Yeah, there's definitely an uneasy quality to it because, you know, this kid is super powerful for one.
You know, like her almost instant acceptance of it, and then just kind of being like, all right, I'll take you in. Seems so weird to me. But it was interesting. It was really cool. Even if that wasn't the intended way it was meant to be taken, it worked either way. So.
Yeah, it's really open to interpretation if you want it to be, and yeah, it works fantastically. And again, the imagery alone is
we got some really weird like effects, like puppet effects of like these disturbing cartoon creatures and shit. It's really cool.
The lighting, the backdrops, the weird use of like almost kind of like 3D. Sculpting in the sets was
it's the kind of shit that would just all be CG now.
Yeah, yeah, really.
It would kind of suck.
But yeah, it works fantastically. This is definitely one that a lot of people don't mention, but I hope that appreciation for it will grow as time goes on. But anyway, we get to the end of the fucking movie, and this is like kind of the highlight for everyone, and it's Nightmare 20,000 Feet, with John Lithgow taking up the role
yeah,
that
that's weird, isn't
William Shatner originally took up. And he's actually pretty fucking fantastic.
He's really good. He's really good in this.
He really communicates what that specific rendition of the character is trying to portray. Now, each rendition of this story has been different. And as I told you, the original story it's based on from Richard Matheson, the character is actually suicidal in it. And everything's a construct for him to kind of justify his own death. He doesn't want to just go out. He wants to have a reason to go out. But in the Twilight Zone original episode, it's not a construct. Something actually happened.
Yeah.
And here, that's amplified all the more. And but this guy is really deathly fucking afraid. And Lithgow is a sweaty, shivering mess
he's really
the whole
good
time.
in this.
He's
I was
fantastic.
actually really surprised how good he was.
Yeah, he's really great, man. And you know, Lithgow had a really good chance to become a Hollywood name, you know. And it was during this time, and it's really a shame that he's still he's a very respectable actor. He's got comedic chops as much as he got dramatic chops, but he never got that big fucking chance that he should have gotten. You know, he was originally gonna be the Joker. He was one of the people in the running for the Joker. That would have
been interesting.
That would have been. I would have preferred that over Jack Nicholson any day. But that's me. But anyway, long story short, he's really the biggest part of this fucking thing that makes it work so well. He's fantastic. Yeah. And
they also throw in some weird like characters that are on the plane.
Yeah.
Which I actually thought were kind of neat.
Yeah. The only one that I kind of didn't like was the little girl.
The little girl sucked.
But I mean, even she was fine. But she was really annoying. I wanted to punch her face.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it was
child
really cool.
abuse aside.
Yeah. We've already established that we don't like children, so there's that. But the actual gremlin, I guess, if we're gonna call it that,
gremlins
on the wing, is portrayed very differently than it originally was.
Yeah, I actually really liked how when they first show it, it's like crawling all over the wing, and the effect was really creepy.
Yeah,
like he's like crawling all over, and then he goes up to like the engines, and it's just kind of like
throwing shit in.
Well, that's even like before he even starts throwing shit in. He's just like crawling, and the way they did it was really creepy. The way they lit it and all the rain effects and shit, which is actually really well done in the show also, yeah. But it was really creepy in this, and the design is really interesting. And then, yeah, of course, he starts messing with the engines, and he's like straddling it and throwing shit in, and there's like a lightning hitting it and shit.
Yeah, there was more of a devilish glee.
Yeah, it was really cool looking.
Yeah, I did let you know, and in case y'all didn't know out there, the original rendition, the actual effect, I guess, of the gremlin in the Twilight Zone original episode is actually pretty spot on to what Richard Matheson described in the book, or I should say the short story. And you noticed and kind of laughed at the way in the original episode,
it was funny.
The gremlin is just kind of pulled away into
he like floats
the ether,
in.
and he floats in. That's actually how it's described in the book. So I was always kind of fascinated that they were so loyal to that particular aspect.
The suit and the effects are weird. They're like,
but they work, right?
Yeah, they're like bordering on crappy, but they work so well.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's just a guy in a fucking big pajama.
Yeah,
really.
Like if you see it out of the short, which we had because they made those action figures, looks like ass. Looks like complete shit. And hilariously enough, it used to come with a piece of the airplane which looked like a diaper with shit on it, which is what it looked like. But in the actual short, it looks really good, and it actually really works.
It looks really, really good.
So they completely redesigned it for the movie, and it's freaking creepy looking, man.
Yeah.
It's got like weird wire hair and shit.
The design kind of reminded me of like a mix of like kind of like, I don't know, like a starving pumpkin head with predator hair, I guess.
It's like it's like something very of the time, but it looked really neat.
Yeah, it's definitely a physical effect, an animatronic
the
effect.
Movement of it, I think some of it was maybe a guy in a suit because it looked so interesting when he was like walking. But of course, when you actually see it and when it's like straddling, it's an animatronic effect. But it looks really good. I thought it looked cool.
Yeah.
Until there is a part where later on where he's looking out the window and the little gremlin's there, and he turns and kind of like snarls. I thought that looked kind of shit. Because it was just like, it had like a little bit of that animatronic little like failing, where it just kind of looks fake.
Yeah, the kind of smile kind of...
Yeah, you kind of saw the little like, just, and it didn't look great. But other than that, I thought the effect was really cool.
Yeah, it was really good. And this movie ends with this segment.
Yeah.
It trails out of the segment. You know,
and I thought that was really effective, actually, the way they tied it into the opening bookend with the freaking troll ass Dan Aykroyd demon.
So let's talk about the opening sequence. We have Dan Aykroyd and Albert Brooks, because that's just what they are, because we never get any names. And by all accounts, apparently Albert Brooks has picked this guy up.
Yeah, see that I had to ask you this. Like, are they friends or is he a hitchhiker? I don't really understand. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter. But the way that it's played, it's more like a hitchhiker.
Right.
They just never really say it. And since they're talking so like friendly, it's a little bit confusing. Like, do they know each other or?
And then the ultimate question comes up: if he's a hitchhiker, why are they talking that friendly, right?
Yeah,
but then conversely, if he's not, why did this guy hold this secret behind for so long just for this one moment?
He's like a trolling ass dude.
So if you don't know,
I really like this, by the way.
Yeah,
I really like this.
This is one of my favorite jump scares in movies. You know,
it's so like it's such a long build up of them just like talking, and then you got that Creedence hit, which is great, and I've kind of been listening to it on a nonstop loop since then. They're just like singing along to it, and then they go into this like game of once their tape is eaten up about classic theme songs, you have to guess them. And it ultimately leads to a discussion about the Twilight Zone.
Yep.
And then he's like, "You want to see something scary?"
And then he just fucking turns into a damn monster.
Yep.
And you're like, "What the fuck?"
And he like attacks him.
If you were friends, did you just hold on to this for this one moment?
It's funny too, because if they were friends, he's been holding on to it for years.
Yeah. But it really works. So the scare really works, or the jump scare really works. It's fun. It works in a fun way. You're like, hey, that's fucking cool.
It really gets you into the mood. And that's something I want to say, that the whole movie is never really scary at all. It feels like a Creepshow light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it feels like almost a perfect, with the exception of a Spielberg movie or a Spielberg bit, it feels like a perfect Halloween movie. Where you just put it in the background and, don't really pay attention, but people are seeing it, and you're talking and shit. And it's just kind of like a fun movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not scary. It's not really like deep or anything. It's just kind of fun.
It's like those pre-code horror comics. It's just, there's something about them that just, it's mood, it's content, it's intent.
That little opening I thought set up the mood really well.
Yeah.
And
so we get back to the ending.
Tied into the ending.
Yeah, our character John Lithgow is carted off the plane, raving like a maniac. Turns out that the gremlin was real, and then he's put into a ambulance.
And then you just hear the Creedence song.
You hear the Creedence.
Which, by the way, this guy, I pointed this out afterwards. This ghoul, this troll ghoul, not only kept up a front with his friend, I assume, for years. And had that tape, but he carries multiple tapes of the Creedence.
He loves the Creedence,
that one. I mean, who doesn't, right? But that one song only. This guy's one of those like conditional fans to the max. He only likes that one song.
This was Rickrolling for monsters before Rickrolling.
It really was. Not only that though, but he has to get into school and training for being a paramedic.
Yeah.
And
all for the troll.
All for the troll. He puts in that little Creedence. The guy Lithgow's like, "Oh, I love the Creedence," because who doesn't? And then he's like, "You want to see something scary?" And it's tied in.
Forget that you just almost died seeing a gremlin.
Yeah.
I'm about to fucking consume you alive.
I really liked it. That was cool.
Yeah, it was a really fun movie. Sans Spielberg.
Yeah, and the depressing fact that people died. That's
there's that.
Bit of a downer.
But once you get over the depths,
it's pretty good.
But yeah, anyway, that's been our little trip down memory lane with the Twilight Zone.
We want to do more of these old films.
We're probably going to venture into seeing old classic horror films, anthologies, or whatever, or even some new ones that have already earned their spot in a lot of people's hearts, and just kind of see what's up. Yeah. But anyway, this has been Ahab and the Goontick. Let us know what you think about the Twilight Bone, not the Zone. And we're out.
Twilight Bone, huh?